Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sibme Coach Replay Show. I'm your host, Cory Camp, and I'm extremely excited for today's episode because today we're doing our very first ever teacher edition with one of my favorite teachers. She teaches my middle one, Ella, and I have just so much enjoyed working with her this past year and her colleagues. And I'm excited just to tune in, zone in, zoom in, I guess, to what it is that we as coaches can do to best support teachers. And so we really wanted to have a teacher on the show for Teacher Appreciation Week. We are so thankful for all of our teachers and have them tell us exactly what it is that they want and need from a coach throughout the year, and especially this time of the year. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Cory. Thank you so much. Right now, it's interesting because we're winding down, but we're still trying to finish up some end of the year things. So I feel like at the beginning of the year, we really honed in on just technical issues. And now it's like, how can I make this end of the year PowerPoint extra special for my kids? Or how can I make a project that I'm doing with my class so that all the family can even see it? And so you've provided so many different outlets, whether it be Flipgrid or just Pear Deck, those types of things that most teachers aren't familiar with. And so that's been something super special for us at my school district, that we've been able to hone in on those specific things, technical things that you've offered to us.
Yeah. And I do. I get to, not only are you my child's teacher, but I've also had the unique privilege to be able to work with you and your team as a coach. And you are teaching online. So let's rewind just a little bit and tell folks a little bit about who is Mrs. Mullins. What do you teach? How long have you been teaching? What has this year been like for you?
So I've been teaching a long time. Total of 27 years. And I was a special ed teacher in the beginning. And then I moved to high school. I was elementary, middle school, high school. So I've taught all grade levels.
All grade levels. Yes, you
All
have.
grade levels. And I came back, I went to the regular classroom because I felt like everything I had as a teacher would support regular ed students just as well as special ed students. So I've been a regular ed teacher probably 13, 14 years. This is the first year we've ever had a pandemic and that we had to go totally online. And so this year, I've been teaching online, and I started as a third grade teacher, and then they had to split my time between third grade and second grade. So thank goodness I've already had that experience, because that part is pretty seamless. Technically, that part is what I struggled with. And so this is the first year I've ever had to rely on technology solely to get content across to students. So you have been such a blessing, such a blessing. So thank you, because you are a teacher too, teaching adult teachers. And I just feel like with your help, I've been able to really come across as this is my regular classroom. And I hope the kids and students have felt that they were in my room, even if it was in a screen. So,
right. Yeah. And that's been a lot of what we've focused on pretty much the whole year. So we started working together in, October of this school year, and it was highly technical. It was very much we're struggling a little bit teaching through the technology. Are there better, more seamless ways to do this? Focused on engagement, of course, as everyone has been this year who's been teaching remotely or in hybrid instruction. And so, I think my approach in the beginning was to hear what all was happening in your classroom and to be able to start to understand a little bit of what your in-person teaching preferences were as teachers, and then start to talk about how the technology can help you find some of that anchor in some of what you've known before, but do that, more online. So we've explored some different tools. We've kind of hung on to some tools that had a bigger bang for your buck. And at this time of year, just like you said, this time of year, we're kind of stretching out just a little bit and trying a couple of new tools or some bigger, impact, like project-based learning types of supports for students, getting them to record video and share that through things like Flipgrid or Padlet. And so that's been really exciting is as we're kind of rounding out the year. And then we've also been having some conversations about, what this will look like as we take this into next school year, where hopefully we'll be back and fully in person.
I sure hope so.
Yeah, I sure hope so too. Who knows what this summer will bring, but that is the hope. We've been hanging on to that hope for over 12 months now, but I think it's finally almost here. So thinking about our experience, and you and I have done some one-on-one coaching sessions, as well as some team across so in our district, the online teachers, there's typically one per grade level. Now, right now you're split because numbers changed at the semester, but so each teacher had a different grade level, but they were kind of the teacher for first, second, third, sixth grade, all the way.
Right.
So what's been most valuable about that? And what would you say for other coaches out there that they might do to support, let's say, teacher collaboration, as well as that one-on-one?
Absolutely. So I think when we came to you as individual teachers with our issues or our wants, I need this type of tool to help me record just a read aloud. And you said, okay, let's try a couple of things. And then you allowed us to help our colleagues. Someone else was really good at Pear Deck, and you met with them individually, but then they allowed time to help us learn that and show us it's not that hard. You can do it. And I think one-on-one sessions are great because we have specific questions with what tools or what needs we have. And then during our coaching meetings with everybody, with our whole team, K6, which is crazy to think about, we divided up into groups. And so our building is a K3 building, and then they have a 4 through 6 building. And just within that coaching time, you allowed us to talk about what we needed. And you said, hey, Mariah, or, so-and-so has done Pear Deck. Let's see her Pear Deck. So you showed by example. I could text you or email you or Voxer you and say, I'm having trouble with this issue. I really need to get this Pear Deck finished. How do I make it a writable slide? And you got right back to us. And I think coaching is more than just this is how you do it, but you showed us, which, most teachers do learn by doing and watching. Visual. We're so visual. And so I think you did a great job. And it's so hard to stress how important that time was, and that you were willing to do early morning or late evening because you're working around your schedule and your kids as well. And so I feel like it wasn't just you telling us, you worked with us. You were our partner right alongside us. And some teachers have a hard time with letting go of that control of their classroom. And you were seamless. And I feel like some of the teachers in our cohort, you were able to break through that. Some of us aren't that way, but some of us are. And I think that's important to know, because as a coach, you want to be able to break through those teachers that just can't let go or think, I can't do this technology. And you did such a great job at that. And I know my team partner and I, we worked really closely together, and we taught each other too. And so we had our own little coaching sessions. She was really good at something, Screencastify. So she taught me that. And then I taught her and the kids Pear Deck. And so she learned right alongside the kids, and we were cracking up because she said, now, wait a minute, Mrs. Mullins. And the kids were like, you don't know that? I'm like, listen, girls, I'm teaching her too. And so that opened up how learning is just continuous for the kids. And so you did a great job. I think this year we really would have struggled the team would have struggled had we not had you helping us. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's really been my pleasure. And what I hear you saying in what was really most valuable for you are two big things.
Mhm.
One, accessibility. You've
Absolutely.
got to be able to reach out to your coach, because it doesn't always happen that that question arises, or it can wait until you have your Tuesday morning session with your coach. So
Right.
being able to be accessible, and have a couple of different means of communication with a coach is really valuable, and that's something I try to do. And I do give out my number to those that I coach, and I'm a virtual coach, right? So I coach with people all over the country these days, for the past several years. But it's something I continue to do because, yeah, sometimes we made a plan and you feel like you left that session feeling pretty good, and then you're in it and you're like, wait, I forgot how to do this, or I didn't know how to
Absolutely.
do that. Yeah, yeah. So and I try to make tutorial videos and record our sessions so you can always go back to it. But sometimes it's just going to be way faster just to send a quick help
Yes.
call out. So the
And
other
those
thing,
videos
yeah.
were helpful too. Sorry, but I
Oh, yeah.
forgot to say, we even after watching videos that she showed us step by step that we could do on our own, she was available for those technical emergencies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which made all the
Yeah.
difference.
It
So yeah,
really does. And that is, yeah, one strategy that I used a lot, and I've talked about it on this show, just that ability to hop on screen share, especially when we're doing something more technical, right? Like how to use a
mhm,
new tech tool, or even just walking through like a planning process. I try to
right.
record a quick video that a teacher can pick up and watch anytime when they're ready to implement that. So
Mhm. So
but the
helpful.
yeah, yeah, I think it can be, right? Because we all process at different levels. And again, like my mind might be somewhere else whenever I'm in my coaching session. I try to be
Mhm.
present, or I'm there, but then there's some work that has to be done after the session, right? Where I
Mhm.
begin to implement it. And I may jump from that coaching session right into another class, or right
Right.
into something else. So having some that accessibility, I think, is also accessibility in the content and resources that the coach has
Right.
provided. Yeah. So the other thing that I heard in what you found most valuable is that you didn't learn it all from me, that you
Right.
had the opportunity to learn from your peers and your
Absolutely.
colleagues. I think sometimes coaches feel, I know I did when I first got started. I thought, oh, I've been elevated to, I was a coordinator, but a big part of my coordinator role was coach. And I thought, well, I just got to know these things. And so I'm going to go in and show people how much I know because I'm supposed to be the expert. That's why I've been given this position. And one that doesn't always go very well for a teacher
Right.
who's been in the classroom sometimes longer than I was.
Mhm.
And two, I mean, that's what we get out of a like a PD session. Someone comes in
Right.
and says, "Let me show you how to do this," and they might have a few models, but coaching is really about unlocking the potential of the people that you're working with
Absolutely.
and connecting them with others so that you can build that collaborative capacity as well as that reflective capacity.
Yes.
So yeah, so we did, and let's just be completely honest. I never taught in the middle of a pandemic. I've
Right?
used lots of
I don't think
technology.
anyone has.
Yeah, nobody's done. We were all new to this, and there are some tools out there that are newer. They weren't around when I was in the classroom, or I haven't got to use them, and some that just popped up this year as a
Right.
result of some needs in the pandemic classroom. And so I needed to lean on a few of the team members because they took things and ran with it, and I wanted to highlight what they were doing, as well as I think it's easier to not just hear that it's possible and see a couple of like mock examples, but actually getting
Right.
to see the real thing. So, and we used video for that. I think that
Yes, we
that
did.
was,
We did.
what do you think about the use of video? Now, let me just tell the audience how we use video. So we use video like screen shares showing like, here's how I did this. We had one of the teachers, she was a big fan of boom cards and introduced that to the team. And so she recorded a screenshot of, a screen share of, here's how I set up my boom card account, and here's how you then find boom cards, and then this is the dashboard, just a kind of a quick info session about it. But then later on she recorded using that. You all recorded a segment of one of your lessons and shared that with the group to share. I recorded on the student side, since I have some students of the teachers. What does it look like, for a kindergartner doing her boom card? So how was video? How was that in your coaching experience?
Right. So I love the fact that you brought this to everybody's attention, because I feel like a lot of times, the young new teachers have to videotape themselves. Some of us have
Mm-hmm.
never done that. I did. I went through national board, so I feel like a video, instead of being intimidated by it, it teaches and you can be reflective. But a lot of teachers are intimidated, and so after getting over that hump, it wasn't about us and what we were doing wrong. It was about, what are the kids doing? What does it look like on a kid's screen? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can take the boom cards, I see the teacher's screen, but what does it look like as a student using it? Because we need to know that, what it looks like on their side, so if they have trouble, we can, problem solve with them. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing I liked was it empowered teachers. It empowered teachers. So if
Mm-hmm.
they videotaped so other teachers could learn, then that was empowering. And also, we want to teach, we want to help. That's just a typical teacher trait. And so being able to share that way helped alleviate some of the stress. And I think once teachers videotaped themselves for 2 minutes, even just short segments, even
Mm-hmm.
if something went wrong, you were able to say, hey, try this. Or another teacher right alongside could say, hey, Amy, try it this way. This is what I do. And so it just helps alleviate that technical pressure of
Mm-hmm.
learning something new technical that you don't have familiarity with, but also easing the pressure of, it's what you're doing wrong versus what can you do right to make it work for your kids and your team.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
think a lot of us who were intimidated um, ended up realizing, oh, it's helpful. It's
Mm-hmm.
helpful. It's not to say, hey, you're doing everything wrong,
Right. Right. Let me
So,
pick this apart and just show
yeah,
you
go
all the
ahead.
ways you could be better. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
Mm-hmm.
not it wasn't for uh negativity. It was for, hey, let's switch this up, or this is what I do. Oh, you forgot to click the button. A
Mm-hmm.
simple mistake that you do, and that solves the whole problem.
Right.
And you
Right.
didn't see it, right?
Yeah. 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 And sometimes, hindsight is 2020. And so being able
Absolutely.
to see that very clearly through video. And I love that you brought up it is it's scary, right? You got to be vulnerable. It is the equivalent, when we decided in your team to record, it was y'all's idea. Of course, I had mentioned video several times because we were
Mhm.
using a platform that allows us to do that.
Right.
But I had been doing a lot of the videoing because it had been largely kind of technical, quick kind of hot fixes.
Mhm.
But I remember Jane saying, I think it'd be really nice to be able to see in other people's classrooms. Like Mariah's been talking about this, and I just think
Right.
it would be great to be able to see that. I wish I could see that. And so then that's
Mhm.
kind of what we decided is we would use video. And then y'all got to record, you got to choose the clips that you wanted to
Right.
share. And then you all had time to kind of be able to watch. And everybody shared something, a different aspect of a
Yeah.
lesson. Some were with students, some were here's my read aloud that I do, and it was great for me being your coach online because all of our time was just us. It was not me being able to observe in the classroom. So I needed the video to be able to help you troubleshoot what was
Mhm.
happening after we created a great plan. I needed to then see that observation and be able to better see what was really happening within the classroom so that way I could
Absolutely.
think about what's the next kind of direction we might consider to go together. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was really helpful.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about that and I just love getting to see into the classroom, but I think there's a couple of important things when coaches use video with teachers and you stated that. Like it needs to be something that is helpful, that helps them reflect that it's not, don't ask me to share a video with you and then you tell me all the ways that I could have done better, but really being able to highlight and celebrate a little bit within that, and then also provide some great feedback.
Absolutely.
Amy, when you've worked with coaches, when you receive feedback, let's say they observe a lesson and then you sit down to talk about how that lesson went, what has been most helpful for you in the coaching that you've experienced in your years in the classroom? What's the best way that a coach has done that for you?
Sure. Lots of times your administrator comes in to observe you, right? And no matter how many years you've been teaching, you still get that nervous feeling. So when you're working with a coach, I think it's really good to have a coach say, listen, I'm right alongside you. I know what worked in my classroom, but there's always different things that happen. So I'll just problem solve with you. Stating up front that I'm here to help you. I'm coaching you right alongside you, and not telling you. It's not that, like you said, oh, some teachers have been teaching longer than I've been a coach, and so, or longer in the classroom. And so I think it's important to be gentle with your words, but also be positive in the fact that, oh, I think kids would, that might be a tricky, Amy, just move your camera a little bit. And then that might give a better view for the students at home. I mean, just being gentle with the way you approach something that maybe a teacher is having difficulty with versus you've done it wrong. It's almost like teaching the second or third grader how to do something without them realizing you're giving them that feedback that they desperately need.
Right.
And so I think you did a really good job of doing that. Some people don't mind the direct feedback. And I think as a coach, just like as a teacher, you have to make sure you're paying attention to the person you're working with, obviously. But always providing feedback in a way that they're going to hear it as feedback to make it better for the kids versus what they did wrong.
Yeah. And as educators, we take our work very seriously, very personal. We teachers don't deserve just an appreciation week. They really just should be appreciated all year long. And I know that many people do, but I think that's what makes feedback really hard and scary for a lot of folks, and a lot of people. That first stage of feedback or method of feedback is what you mentioned, which is from the administrator to the teacher, right? That's more evaluative and that's higher stakes, and that's a different kind of feedback.
It is.
So I think it's important that I love that you said that a coach kind of states how it's different, states that stance in there, that I'm here alongside you. And, I have some experience, but my experiences may not be the best next step for you in your classroom. So let's problem solve together. So I love that. Well, Amy, I want to thank you so much for taking time with me today to just share a little bit about your coaching experience and what's worked for you. And I want to invite our audience, if you've got more questions that we could ask the teachers that we know about coaching, or ideas or things that have resonated with you, put them in the comments below. But Amy, I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you. This year would have been totally different, Cory, if you weren't right there by my side helping. And I know my team feels that same way. So
thank you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, it really is an honor and a privilege to be able to be let in as a coach to teachers' worlds. It's not just your classroom you let us in. You really let us into your lives, and we get to know you at personal levels as well as professional levels. And so that truly is an honor. But I'm just so thankful that my Ella has you and Jane as teachers. And so thank you so much for all that you do. I know you've got a busy day, so we'll let you go, but I want to tell our audience to go hug or high five or air five a teacher today. If you haven't done it, it's Friday, so it's the last one for if you're celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week. But don't wait for this week to roll around every year. Appreciate your teachers anytime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And tune in next week for another episode of the Sibme Coach Replay Show. Thanks for joining, y'all. Bye.